me just go ahead and start this by saying that it doesn't matter what people think. Logic will always prevail. I don't have to be right about everything. But I wanted to give a little justice and dole some out. This isn't any sort of praise to Florida. Because the fact that this is an issue at all is an indictment on the land in which we live. Florida Medical Board votes to ban gender affirming care for transgender minors. After 5 hours of tense testimony and protest, the Florida Board of Medicine voted Friday to start drafting a rule that would bar all minors in the state from receiving puberty blockers, hormone therapy, or surgeries as treatment for gender dysphoria. Florida's medical board is the first in the country to pursue such a rule. But Florida is among a wave of states where officials have attempted to restrict gender affirming medical care for transgender minors. By the end of Friday's 5 hour meeting, protesters began yelling, "Shame!" at the board members, and some of them staged a die-in in the lobby of the Orlando International Airport where the meeting was held. Mm, mm, don't matter. Let's keep reading. The vote is the latest update in a months-long effort led by Governor Ron DeSantis' administration to restrict transition-related care for people under 18. Caveat. While that may seem honorable, the fact that this is even an issue, once again, in a land that claims to be believing in the Christ, is, for me, head scratching, awe stricken. The effort to restrict such care began in April when DeSantis and Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo issued non-binding guidance via the Florida Health Department that sought to bar that, that sought to bar both social gender transition and gender affirming medical care for minors. The guidance drew backlash from LGBT advocates and medical experts. Now, caveat again. Most of these lesbians, gays, transgenders, queers, bisexuals are pedophiles. A heavy percentage of the people who commit pedophilia and the people who commit those acts against children, not kids, because a kid is a baby goat. That's another act of blasphemy. Just as hateful, but not hateful to the term of how personal it will be for the individual involved and their child. I can't stress it enough. You cannot ever let someone who's like that around your children for any period of time unsupervised. Medical experts, these medical experts are probably gay, but just going ahead and just going forward. Let's just keep reading. Accredited medical groups, including the American Medical Association, the American Academy Academy, of Pediatrics, and American Psychological Association, there we go, have supported gender affirming care for transgender youths. All three of those, the AMA, the AAP, and the APA, are all probably filled with a whole bunch of LGBTQ individuals. Despite that support, Florida's Agency for Healthcare Administration issued a report in June that found that several services for treatment of gender dysphoria, i.e., sex reassignment surgery, cross-sex hormones, and puberty blockers, are not consistent with widely accepted professional medical standards and are experimental and investigational with the potential harm for long-term effects, meaning people killing themselves. Just hours after reports released, Ladapo sent a letter to the Board of Medicine and asked it to establish a standard of care for these complex and irreversible procedures. The board held its first meeting on the issue in August, and on Friday it officially voted to draft a ban on certain gender-affirming therapies for minors. Certain gender. I should say all, but it doesn't say all. The meeting began the meeting began with expert testimony in favor of and against such care. And Michael Laidlaw, an endocrinologist based in Rockland, California, cited often criticized research that found 50 to 90% of children whose gender identity isn't consistent with their assigned sex at birth grow out of the condition by adulthood. So listen, he's saying half to almost all these individuals, gender identity isn't consistent with their assigned sex at birth, grow out of the condition by adulthood. So he's saying by the time they become an adult and all their juices in their bodies get to flowing, they feel differently. Half to almost all of them. What do you think these other ones are doing? Anyway, let me stop. The ones who aren't killed, or the ones who don't die of overdoses, the ones who aren't fallen dead of heart attacks and strokes or whatever from all these complicated procedures they've gotten done. Right. Then, now when we separate them, how many of them do you think commit suicide? Let's go ahead and keep it forward. Let's keep going. In quotes. The basic problem with this treatment, as I see it, is what happens when you force a square peg into a round hole. You end up injuring or destroying the peg in the process. Uh-oh. Meaning that this doesn't fit. This is not how it's supposed to go. However, Meredith McNamara, a female, an assistant professor of the pediatrics at Yale School of Medicine, who treats transgender people between the ages of 10 and 25, transgender people, listen, between the ages of 10 and 25, told the board that the research Laidlaw cited and the June report issued the Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration are methodologically flawed. Okay? This is crazy. Neither of the authors of the state's review is a subject matter expert. Wow. Nigga. Nigga. Let me break that down. Let me unpack this shit right here. This is crazy. Did y'all hear that? I want to laugh, but this shit is diabolical. First and foremost, from the ages of 10 to 25, this lady is trying to create transgender individuals who will no longer, none of them should be able to copulate. But if they have their way, there's going to be medicines and all sorts of nanotechnology that'll make it to where a female that was born a male that was born a female will be able to get pregnant by one another. This shit is diabolical. Don't nobody see it but me. I'm over here smacking my hand. I'm clapping. I'm punching hands together. I'm just like, nigga, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, do y'all realize what she's saying? She's saying that these dudes can't speak for everybody. Let's just go ahead and just be clear, cut through the shade, right? She's saying that there's subject matter, that there's Neither of the authors of the Sex Review is a subject matter expert, and they're methodologically flawed, right? Methodologically flawed. Methodologically flawed, right on? Meaning your method and your logic are fucked up. Both points. Your method being the process, your logic being how you think about it and how you see it, are both fucked up. Wow. Nigga, when I say shots fired, see, once again, you have to be able to read and you have to know stuff to feel that kind of sting. That's a hit. I gotta stop it right here for a second. No, it's always a female up to some wicked shit. Note that part. Just keep reading. One of our individuals is a dentist, the other a postdoctoral fellow in biostatistics. At a bare minimum, the systemic review should be conducted by those who are qualified to assess the literature. I wouldn't trust a dermatologist review the literature on a neurosurgical procedure, for instance. So give me stop right there. Where they're wrong. So they're trying to say that a neurological issue could not have anything to do with your skin. How does she know that? She is methodologically flawed in her assessment of their assessment. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. She's talking like she's the creator of procreation. But let me go ahead and keep going. Because her parents were transgender, I guess. Both of them. After expert testimony, the board began the public comment period, which was scheduled to last 2 hours, according to multiple attendees. The first non-attendees who spoke in favor of restricting gender-affirming care for minors, 8 of them said that they have detransitioned or come to identify with their assigned sex at birth after having previously identified as trans. Only one of the 8 had received gender-affirming medical care as a minor. Wow. Chloe Cole, who described herself as an 18-year-old detransitioned female from California, said she began transitioning at 12 and received a double mastectomy at 15 and 16. She realized she regretted her transition. Oh, all the talk about mental health, self-perception, pronouns, and and ideology leads me to question, why is a mental health epidemic not being addressed with the mental health treatment to get at the root causes for why female adolescents like me reject their bodies, Cole said. The board also heard from parents of transgender youths. Hope McClay, who has a 9-year-old trans daughter, little boy, said that she used to have to force her daughter to get short haircuts before she came out as trans. This is crazy. At one point, she came up to me at about 3.5 years old and begged me, crying, saying, "Please don't make me do this. Please don't make me be this way anymore. This is not who I am. I want to die." What? How do we know the 3-year-old said this? 3.5-year-old. How do we know she said? How do we know that? Show me the video. She said she and her family have consulted with medical professionals on medical care for their daughter, and they have found that allowing her to go through male puberty would be physiologically damaging, psychologically damaging. It'd be physiologically and psychologically damaging. I don't know why both aren't right there. It would damage your physical and your psychological. You can't fuck up one without fucking up the other. It's impossible. It's impossible. Listen, So little girl wants to be a little boy. Little boy, like I said, right? They have found allowing her to go through male puberty would be psychologically damaging. It'd be physiologically damaging too. I don't know why they're not, once again, be honest. So we did not make these decisions lightly, but these are decisions that should be made by the families, not by the state and not by a board, McClay said. But the thing is, never mind. Let's go ahead and keep reading these. Jude Spiegel, Jude Jewell, the only trans person to testify at Friday's meeting, read the names of 17 trans teens who died by suicide over living in a world that refused to acknowledge or accept them. With about 45 minutes left in public comment period, left in a public comment period, board member Zachariah P. Zachariah, Jew P. Zoo, Jew P. Jew, okay, said only one more person will be allowed to testify. The crowd protested, and he offered to share an email where they could share their testimonies. At one point, an audience member yelled that trans youth suffer its board would suffer if the board voted to care. The blood is on your hands. To which Zechariah responded, "That's okay." Right. Like a nihilist Khazarian Jew would say, "That's okay." Because they don't care about nothing. Emil Fox, a trans non-binary person. Oh my God. Don't identify as nothing. From Orlando, who uses they and he pronouns, said that they signed up to testify and weren't able to, and were frustrated after the first eight people who testified were all in favor of restricting care, but none of them were from Florida. What was so appalling to me is how obviously staged this all was, Fox said, adding that the board members did not appear to know that much about gender affirming therapies. They've been fed a narrative and ate it up. Like this individual is the end all be all to this. This is the kind of shit I'm talking about. Got Fag McGee talking. Anyway, let's keep going. The straight devil, not even a wet devil. This motherfucker's a dry devil. After the public comment period, the board attempted to come up with a rough draft of a rule. Initially, members considered making trans youths who were already receiving gender affirming medical care exempt from the ban if they underwent an informed consent process, but they decided to cut that proposal. Then, in a rushed exchange that attendees described as confusing, Zachariah pushed for a vote even as some board members asked for the proposal to be read aloud once more. He said then the motion was passed without he then said the motion was passed without saying what the final tally was. Florida Rep. Anna Escamani, a Democrat whose district includes parts of Orlando, said that there would be another meeting on November 4th at the Holiday Inn, Disney Springs, to discuss the drafted rule. And then there will be a 28-day approval process that will include additional time for public comments. Now, let me tell y'all something. Caveat. If these niggas really cared, they would be having this shit at a public spot where all the people could come and hold them accountable. They're going to the Holiday Inn, Disney Springs, on the taxpayers' money. I just need y'all to understand, man. Like, don't ever try to think that I can't pinpoint every little thing. I see a lot of things that I don't say nothing about. This right here is near and dear to me because I say that they're children. They're not kids to me. You have children. Your children should have children. And there shouldn't be a threat of a there should be no existential threat to the bloodline of mankind because one Gentile or two or all of them feel as if they don't belong. And they'd have confused a couple of niggas along the way. I'm sorry. Nope. Ain't with that. She believes the timing of the rulemaking process just ahead of the election is intentional. This is the same chick who wants to have it at the Holiday Inn. It's so clearly intentionally designed to create a news cycle that further polarizes and politicizes gender affirming care to distract from the affordable housing crisis, to distract from the impact of Hurricane Ian and property insurance rates. We have some actual real problems to solve. Big health actual problems. So people wanting to cut their penises off and have a fake vaginal mesh put there, and females wanting to take hormones to become more like men and possibly grow facial hair, that's not a big deal. Insurance companies that have made hand over penny, fist over penny over hand, underhand money, under a giant ass dome kind of money, don't want to pay all these people out and just tell them, look, this is what you get. And we ain't got nothing else. We broke. Right. Bunch of middle management individuals. Are there people who are lying about the damage they received? Sure. There should be investigations for all that. But they're trying to underplay how serious this issue is. She's saying that a hurricane is more important than transgenders are a hurricane. They're a living hurricane. They don't last a few minutes or a few hours. They last lifetimes if you let them. And their effect and impact is to be felt forever. Please don't ever do something like that ever again, young lady. Let me read that again. We have some actual real problems to solve. Big health disparities that we need to address. Like people wanting to change who they are is not a big health disparity. Yet instead we're talking about those and yet start talking about those real life concerns. Trans issues are going to be front and center, and that's truly designed to designed to continue to divide us, as opposed to saying that it's a major health issue that we're going through a mental health crisis, like the gay individual. Right? Look, this is a dude. That's a dude right there, y'all. You can't tell that's a dude. Adam's apple, shoulders, all that shit. That's a fucking man right there. Anyway, man. The die-in. We're gonna end it on that page. Look at the die-in. The die-in. Look, all those are females, and there's one dude that looks like a dude, and the rest look like females. This looks like a female. This might be a dude, but the super duper small hands, but still, it could be a dude with just a funny built frame or something like that. But female, dude. Anyway, look at this shit. This is crazy. This is what they want y'all to believe in, man. This is what they want y'all to vote for, man. If you vote, you no matter what voted for this. Black people. All right. Now we finally get to the message. What are